What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Gavin, the boss man Stevenson. I got the lovely Lady J. Go ahead and say something to the people, Lady J.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we are going to talk about a very serious subject that I think that needs to be talked about in, we can say the world, but really, we're going to talk about it in our community because it is a thing that goes untalked about. So what we are going to talk about is mental illness. I know, y'all like, whoa. Now, you know, you got two people that think very differently on very different topics, and I believe that this is going to be another one that we see eye to eye, but don't see eye to eye. What do you think, Lady J?
Yeah, I think we just have different perspectives.
Yes,
We see the same thing, but
I totally agree on that.
different ways.
Yes, I totally agree on that. Especially with this mental illness. You know, me personally, I have dealt with it from afar. I've dealt with it in the club business. I dealt with it in personal life, you know. But me personally, I have not had, I can say thank God I haven't had the opportunity to deal with it personally. You get what I'm saying?
It's a blessing.
Yes, it definitely is. I know one reason why it's hard for me to deal with it because, ladies and gentlemen, the boss man is very conceited. So it's hard for me to deal with things like that because, you know, I always tell people, and you know, I said this to you too, Lady J, is that I can never hurt myself because I'm too conceited. I love me too much. You know what I mean? I love me too much.
But so silly.
But I know that it is a thing that is going on in real life every day. I see it. I've seen it. I've been there when it happened. Man, I can tell you stories about things that I've seen with people that have had mental illness, Lady J, that whole demeanors and faces and attitudes change right in front of your eyes. Like you're sitting there you're sitting there with a calm person for like 5 minutes, and the next 5 minutes, I mean, whole demeanor just changed. Have you seen that?
I have.
So, Lady J, I'm gonna let see because you are more. I can honestly say on this topic, you are more, let's say, fluent with it. You know what I mean? It's something that you have dealt with personally. That's something that you have also dealt with. You know what I mean? In family as well, right? Right.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? I'll let you lead the way a little bit on this. You know what I mean? I'm going to throw my little 2 cents in every now and again. But what was the first, let me ask you this. The first time you've seen mental illness was when?
As a kid, you know, you see mental illness all the time, I think, especially if you live in the hood. You see it in the people that walk up and down the streets, you know, our quote unquote local crackheads and bases and stuff like that. I think that's everybody's first taste of mental illness.
Right. When they're out there talking to themselves and everybody thinks it's funny.
Right.
Right.
That's everybody's first taste of mental illness, is seeing it from that perspective. But I first want to say people have to realize that mental illness is a whole chemical imbalance in your brain.
Right.
Anybody can deal with mental illness, even those who love themselves and that are conceited and deal with it.
Don't get me wrong, Lady J. I get down.
Don't have any control over.
Listen, Lady J. I get down in the dumps sometimes too. You've seen it. You see me.
Right.
You see me. But I'm just saying, to come to the point of harming myself.
Right. You could not fathom that because you're in your right mind.
Right.
But if that ever came to a point where you were not in your right mind, you don't know what you do.
Correct. But I'll say this. I don't do things that take me out of my right mind either.
But you don't necessarily have to, and I think that's a misconception especially with Black people, when it comes to mental illness. You're talking about, I can speak from dealing with someone else before I speak for myself, but dealing with somebody else. You know, let's talk about our veterans. Our veterans are put in situations where their minds have to see, operate, and dwell in things that are not normal.
Right.
So therefore, their mind can be thrown off balance chemically. So you're talking about men who are taught to be strong, be resilient, come to a place where they are no longer able to control their own mental thoughts. And that allows them to do things like hurt themselves, hurt other people.
Yes,
and so
I totally
forth.
agree. You know, I know a lot about the armed forces. My father was in it, and he used to tell me stories about how they just throw you in a situation and say, okay, here it is. You know what I mean? Like they'll
Right.
throw you in a situation and say, oh, okay, we're going to put you all the way out here somewhere that you ain't never
Yep.
been before. Get home. What?
Right.
You like, what? They throw you in the woods,
Right.
the snow, like you got the Marines, you got these special forces. Yes, they train you, but I believe that they also brainwash you as well while they're training you.
Exactly. Right. Because they train you on a technical level. They don't train you on a mental level. And they put you in these situations where your mind automatically has to click into surviving. And once you've been in that situation for so long, that's the only way your brain knows how to think.
Right.
So being married to somebody in the armed forces, I've heard plenty stories about being in the middle of the night and shooting people. You don't know who's shooting at you. You gotta wait till you can return fire, so you get shot at, but you can't return fire. Picking up dead bodies and finding dead children, and those things are not stuff that we would normally be able to process mentally. But being thrown into those situations and seeing those things over and over again, they create nightmares. A lot of things that can totally turn your brain left.
Right. I totally agree.
And you're not able to control that. Right.
I totally agree. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lydia. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, so that's why I feel like anybody is subject to mental illness. I used to always think too, like I would never do anything to hurt myself or harm myself. But also being in a situation where I dealt with that kind of stuff at a very young age. I'm talking like 6th grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I have a child that deals with it as well. So you never know.
The thing about that is, I got me stuttering. The thing that throws me for when we say mental illness within like our armed forces, because what happens is a lot of times they brainwash you, right? They get you to that point that you are a killer, or you have a killer. Excuse me. You have a killer mentality, and what happens is they take you and say, "Okay, we're done with you." Boom.
Put you back in society.
Put you back in society. They don't give you no type of, real counseling because they figure, you'll be able to turn it off. But then they sit here and wonder why. Like, if you think about it, some of our biggest serial killers were men out the Marines.
A military trained.
Right. Right. Some of the worst, like, look at the DC sniper. Military trained.
What's so crazy? I was in DC when that happened.
Wow.
Yep. I was pumping gas with my head down, pregnant with my second son, with JoJo.
And it's crazy because that man's mental illness drove another man, well, I can't say a man, a teenage boy, to turn into a stone cold killer. A lot of people, let me blow back a little bit. A lot of people don't know the person that was doing most of the shooting out that trunk was the boy.
Was the kid.
You know what I mean? So that's another reason that I think that, mental illness. But let's talk about mental illness in the black community a little bit. And we'll go back and forth a little bit. I'll start it off.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, what I think is the problem is because you said, the crackheads and all that stuff. Yes, that is mostly a chemical imbalance, like you said. You know what I mean? You get a lot of chemical imbalances because that stuff will tear you up because it's just what they put in it. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh, it's just Coke. No. Let me tell you something. I know the recipe, and it just ain't that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
silly.
we in the black community, what we do, and it upsets me, is because we let it go on like it's nothing. Like, oh, it'll fix
Of course.
itself. It'll fix itself. Oh, Tyrone, he'll be all right.
Intervene.
Yeah, Tyrone will be all right. He'll fix himself. We ain't got to worry about that. No, you need to worry about Tyrone, because Tyrone is not going to fix himself like you think he is, because
Right.
that's why we need to confront it when we see it in the beginning. You get what I'm saying? Instead of just hoping and praying. Don't get me wrong. Prayer helps.
Works.
It works. It helps. It does all that, because I do it all the time. But with prayer, you need a little bit of go. You know what I mean? You need a little bit of go. And it says that, look, it says if you can pray all day long, but you need a little bit extra on top of that to make it work out for you. A lot of people don't see that.
Working dead.
Right. A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people just think, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and preach on this and everything's going to be all right. No.
Yeah, no.
I've seen.
I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the biggest problem in the black community is we don't recognize certain things. For instance, the fact that your stepmom or your stepdaddy or your dad or your mom constantly drinks, that's a mental illness. It's a mental illness that leads to substance abuse. Like, for instance, I can say this now. Growing up, my grandmother,
substance abuse is a big thing in the black community. Just to say that, a lot of people don't know that is a very, very big thing in the black community. Go ahead, Lady J.
But that all leads from mental illness, because we're not going to ones that's going to say go see a psychiatrist or go see a doctor. We're going to say,
pray on it.
Oh, girl, sit down, have you a drink, or pray about it, or go to church more. You need to go to church more. You need to get into the word. That's what we're told. Like right now, I can also say my grandmother is very depressed. She's alone. She's very depressed. And my grandmother will drink herself into a spot where she cannot think at all. And she feels like, oh, it's okay. I just had a few beers. She thinks that's fine. But it's a form of depression that leads her there.
Isn't it crazy how older folks always, I just had a few beers, baby, Look, Grandma, okay, a few beers, I get it, 1, 2. But Grandma, you ain't had to drink the whole 12
The
pack.
whole 6-pack.
Right. A lot of times it'd be a 24.
12,
12,
Miller
24.
High Life.
What? Not the Miller High Life. Over here drinking, what's it called? And think they doing something. You over here drinking,
Natural Ice.
Oh Lord, I done seen people act crazy over some what they call it, natty ice. What?
Natty Ice.
Natty ice, boy. Mother go crazy over that shit. They'll be ready to tear shit up. Then flip the car over, everything. But yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead about your grandma.
But yeah, she does that, and I've seen her do that. Her mother, was a stone cold alcoholic. Her father was a stone cold alcoholic. And all those things deal from mental illness. Now, I have to say, from a personal experience, I had, from a younger age, I dealt with a lot of issues with my mother, right? My grandmother raised me, and my mother allowed that. But there was an instance, I'll never forget, I was in the 6th grade, I think, in the 6th grade, and my mom was dealing with a situation. She had a boyfriend. And my mom told me that if I didn't like him, I can get out. Told me that, this was her life and, blah, 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 blah. So I had in my mind all of these years that my mom didn't want me.
Right, because she thought she chose the man over you.
Right. So in my mind at 11 years old, I thought, well, if she don't want me, then why I'm here?
Facts. Facts.
So that developed, in my mind that it was no reason for me to be here. So I went to school, and back, in school, they tell you, oh, you have a problem, you talk to your guidance counselor, whatever. Well, I told my guidance counselor, well, since my mama don't want me and I ain't got nowhere to go, I might as well be dead.
Boy, you did the wrong thing.
But that's how I felt.
Oh
That's
boy,
how I felt. And
Lady J, let me
my
ask you,
11-year-old.
Lady J, I gotta ask you this question: how did that turn out?
Not so great.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I had plotted out a way to go home and to kill me and my brother.
Woo, Jesus.
Because in my mind, it was no reason for us to be here if she didn't want us. Because your parents are supposed to want you.
So let me ask you this: so when you say that that was the first thing that came to your head. It wasn't like, oh, I need to.
First thing.
That, you know what? I can't like I said, I can't speak on that, but that is a major thing, Lady J. That is
right, because I felt like I didn't know my father, so it's not like I could say, well, if you don't want me, I'm gonna go to my daddy's house.
Right. You didn't have that.
I didn't have the option. So she was my only option.
Right.
So it was like, okay, well, she don't want me, then what the hell am I here for? That's literally how I felt. Long story short, I ended up going to a home for girls. Ooh. And I was in there for like 4 or 5. And what made me kind of change, because they, when you're that young, they don't give you anything or whatever.
Right.
They put you in these situations where you talk to other people. But what made me be like, oh, hell no, this is definitely not for me, was being around people who were actually really
stone cold. And a lot of times people go into those, a lot of times, not to cut you off, a lot of times people go into those situations not realizing that, wait, I done made this thing a whole lot worse than what it is. And because you're dealing with people that really, really have those type of problems. You get what I'm saying? Not saying that your problem wasn't a big one.
And I really didn't. Right, and I really didn't feel like it was like I made it worse, because it was honestly how I felt. It wasn't like something I just said to get anything or get anywhere. It's honestly how I felt in the bottom of my heart. Like, why the hell you got kids if you don't want? Like, that's how I felt. But I ended up having a roommate, and my roommate cut herself. Like, she was like a self-mutilator. So being in that room with her, it was her. It was another girl in there who would drink stuff like bleach and stuff like that. Like,
how'd you make it through that?
Hardcore, like,
Jesus.
Right. I didn't. I literally, like, how I end up going home, I end up being there for 3, almost 4 days. And they would allow visitors. My grandma came to visit me, and, she took me for a loop because she ended up boohoo crying or whatever. I was active member of my church, so my pastor came and see me and stuff like that. But I did not sleep for them whole 3-4 days I was in there.
Because you were terrified.
Because I was terrified. I was terrified. And we talking about these girls would get up in the middle of the night and be walking the hallways, and you be like, what's wrong with her? And I'd be like, this is what she do every night. And some of these girls, they had to be medicated, or they would do stuff like hit themselves, or, what I'm saying, like real whole demonic looking things.
They'll turn around and do shit to you. You know what I mean?
Right. So I could not, and that's how they end up releasing me, because like I told them, I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm not, I know that what was said would not be a great thing to do, but that's just how I felt,
At that point.
So they let me go home or whatever. Right. And at that point, I think that was the first time that my family was like, okay, it's nothing wrong with people talking to other people. Because that was my thing. Like, I needed somebody to talk to, because you motherfuckers wasn't listening to me. So I need somebody to talk to. And that's why I'm very adamant with my kids with talking. Especially black parents.
Let me ask you this, Lady J. Saying that, right, did your mother show up and see you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to get into too much detail, about it. But did she ever give you the reason why she chose a man. Now, let me ask you this.
No.
I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get too personal in this business here.
Mm-hmm.
But how long was she dealing with this gentleman?
My mom never had long relationships.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna say that she never had long relationships. My mom's theory back then was always her happiness.
Okay.
Like, I have to be happy. I have, and even then, I felt like my mom didn't do that to hurt me. That's all she knew. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I'm following. I see
Right.
what you're throwing down. And I
Right.
totally agree. Sometimes it's a generation thing. It's a generation
Exactly.
thing. A lot of times
Exactly.
you can see that. Okay, well, you get some parents that that show you that okay, you got to cater to this man. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. All that stuff, and that's how you keep a man. If you notice that doesn't work all the time, let's say that right now. That's not something that says, okay, boom, that works all the time, because we know it don't. It's
Right.
It's
And see, like that was the thing. But it was no ever any talking. Like for a fact, in my household, my boys, especially with me being newly divorced, I talk to my boys, and if there is something that they don't like, it ain't gonna go down. You get what I'm saying? So, but that in most black households, that's never an option. You can't go to we were younger. It was very hard for us to go to a grandparent or a parent and say, "This how I feel about something," and it was taken
like it was supposed
genuinely.
to. Yeah, like it was supposed
Right.
to.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
you better get
you're a
over
child,
it.
you just do what I
You better
say.
get over it.
Right.
No, people.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. When you are not looking, I'm a firm believer in listening to what my kids have to say. Even though it may upset you, maybe because a lot of times, I'm going to tell you people, a lot of times kids can be the one that can tell you, you know what, mama, you fucking up. Daddy,
Man,
you
listen.
fucking up. You ain't doing, because they
Listen.
see it in a totally different light than what we see it in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They be like, you know what, mama, whatever you got going on, this shit ain't right. And it ain't working out for me. It ain't working out for you. You know what I mean? We need to work on what is going to work out the best in this household. I'm telling you,
Right.
people, listen to
Right.
your kids sometimes, because they can give you the knowledge that you need to keep, to keep shit moving in your life.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because if you look at people that you've been around who have true mental illnesses, a lot of the stuff that they deal with stems from their childhood.
Right.
It stems from their childhood. It's
Right.
not something that they just pick up overnight. And yes, there are instances like the military, or something traumatic happened to them. Like I've had friends who've lost their kids, or who have seen friends get killed and stuff like that.
Right.
Those are traumatic situations that change you mentally forever. Totally get that. But 9 times out of 10, people who have dealt with mental illness on a deeper level comes from their childhood.
Right. And a lot of times, what upsets me about people in mental illness is that a lot of times that, people play a role. You know what I mean? And now, if you have mental illness, okay. But don't fake the funk. You get what I'm saying? That's upsetting.
Who would want to fake that, though?
You'd be
That's
surprised how many people fake that. Like, I've seen people like, ladies, I told you I'm not trying to be funny in this thing right here.
Okay.
But I've seen, okay, like I said, in my line of business, a lot of times people need comfort.
Right.
You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Of the medicated kind. And I'll tell you this, Lady J, I've seen people turn into stone cold crazy people in front of me. I've seen people just lash out at people because they are on one. You get what I'm saying? They there. You know what I mean? Ain't no, let me slow down. A lot of people don't hear that slow down shit. It's we here run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's on go. Right.
I it, and you know, and then you start playing crazy. Have you ever seen when people start talking? Oh my God! When people start talking to themselves, but not just talking to themselves, but when they talk to themselves, they talk to like you know their regular voice, and then you hear them talk in a totally different voice when they answer.
Well, I've seen that in a family member of mine, and he's no longer here. I had a family member. He was a member by marriage, but he was a family member. I used to love him to death. He was schizophrenic, and
Right.
he was the sweetest guy ever. But you would always see him talking to himself. He would answer himself. He would laugh at himself. You know, he would come by every day and what you cook, and I would give him a plate, or he'll go by, my sister-in-law house and do the same thing. Um, he would go days and days, without being home or taking a bath, and he would come over. And at first, when I first moved back to Florida and met him, um, he scared me because I had kids, and I was just like, what he might do with kids. But he was so gentle, and he loved my children. Um, Unfortunately, um, to aid that, because that is tiring too for a mental ill patient to go through that, they start to self-medicate,
Right.
and he did it, a lot. Um, so I don't know. When I see people like that, I also look at it on another level because I feel like those things are very spiritual based. I'm not gonna really get into that, but um, I feel like people like that have been through a lot.
So
They've been through a lot.
so let me ask you this question. So are you thinking that when people have multiple personalities, do you believe that that is like a demon effect or something like that? You know what I mean? A lot of people think that.
I feel like mental illness is a demonic situation. Period.
Okay.
Um,
I can
Even
I can
though,
dig that because
right,
you're being taken out of your body,
right,
out of your right mind.
you're dealing with other things, right? Yeah, I totally believe that.
But a lot of people find
That's
comfort in
why.
that, though. A lot of people find comfort in that. A lot of people find comfort in talking to themselves. Did you know that?
With talking to yourself and talking to other people within yourself is
Correct. It's
different.
two different things. Two different things. So you
Right.
saying talking to yourself is fine, but answering your
Right.
motherfucking self is a problem.
Hold on. But you may be talking to somebody else within yourself that ain't you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
I can talk to myself all day long, but when I start answering to Johnny, oh, we got some issues,
Right.
homeboy.
Right. Right. And it's crazy because later in life, I used to go to therapy, and I would go to the group therapy. And one of the things that one of my therapists used to tell me was, we don't like to put, like when we talk about demonic things and stuff like that, but I've had like several therapists tell me all the time, in order for anybody to get out of mental illness, they have to believe in a higher power.
Okay, I can dig that.
Right. They can't, like, it's no way for you to come out of that without having some kind of spiritual grounding. You can't just, like, you can take medications, but you can only take medications for so long. Like, you
Right.
mentally have to work coming out of that.
Because people don't realize, the human body, when you start taking something that's not what's supposed to come out of you, the human body learns, it adapts. It adapts. And
Right.
the medicine will stop working. But I also
Then
believe
you got to
that,
get stronger and stronger.
and I also believe that a lot of times when it comes to that, people have to continue to take it because it has to build up in your system. You know what I mean? Like they say,
Right.
oh, I take my
You
Prozac.
can't be on and
Yeah.
off, on and off.
Right. I take my Prozac
Right.
and it's all right. No. It's just like me and my insulin. I have to take it because it builds up in your system. You don't just take it once a week. I wish it was that way.
Right. But I
No.
just like that's like depression. You know, if you look up, the dictionary version or definition of depression, it is a chemical imbalance in your body. Like something is missing within your body that can cause you to be depressed. I know for a fact having a blood disorder, if I miss certain things, it can cause me to feel a certain type of way. You
Emotional,
know,
emotional
um,
wise, right?
right. And it's crazy because sometimes I'm like, man, what the hell is wrong with me? This is testing my gangster. This is not me. I'm not a punk. Why am I
I done
acting
broke
like
out.
this?
I'm crying and shit.
Right?
I
Like,
don't
who
know what's
the
going
fuck is
on
wrong with
with
me?
me. I'm sick of this shit. I done woke up.
And
You
then
done,
go to the doctor.
yeah.
My doctor be like, girl, you need a whole blood transfusion.
I knew I wasn't that
I knew
crazy.
I wasn't no punk.
I knew I was a little. I knew I was a little bit silly, but I wasn't. I knew I wasn't
But
that silly.
right.
Yeah, I
But you
believe.
can't that certain thing.
I believe.
Yeah.
I look. A lot of people don't, but I believe in I believe in the medical system to a certain point.
Extent, yeah.
Yes, there are. Like I said, there's other ways to deal with stuff. You got spiritual stuff. You got herbal healing, and you know what I mean. But
Hmm.
sometimes when you are too far gone, you got to get on the
Right.
hard shit. You got, you know what I mean.
Right.
But it takes. But you're not gonna do it, right? It normally
Hmm.
takes somebody to let you know that, hey, man, you tripping. We need to get you some help.
Right. Or somebody to actually listen to you. Because that's the problem. I'm gonna be honest, and we talk about the black community. Our biggest issue with mental illness is black men. Black men have a hard time saying something's wrong with me. I need some help. Especially when because we figure we can figure it all out. I won't talk to nobody. I cut a couple people off. Won't answer my phone. I sit here with a ball and dog. I'll be all right tomorrow. Yeah, no, that's not how it
No, I
goes.
can't say that because you've been around me, so when I get upset, it's hard to contact me. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to deal with nobody right now. Let me be for a little while. Boom. And you notice every time the person let me be, I come right back. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's not like, oh well, I ain't heard from Gavin in fucking 3 days. Where this nigga at? No, you give me about an hour or
Right.
two and let me get right, and then you know what I mean. We can go back to talking. But a lot of people don't see it that way. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
people try to rush you into things too, and that's a bad thing too. With somebody with mental illness, it's hard. You can't just rush them into it and be like,
Hmm.
okay, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna take. We're gonna do this right now. No,
Hmm.
they gotta want to do it. It's just like a person that's addicted to drugs and they gotta go to AA.
Hmm.
They gotta want to go to AA. Yeah, you can initially put them in there, but they gotta want to be there.
They gotta want the healing, and I'm a firm believer of giving people their time and their space. I had to learn that because I was a person who always felt like I was a misfix it. Like I can make it better, I can make it better, I can make it better. But I had to learn that a lot of things were not meant for me to fix. Like that's not my job. So, I had to learn how to take my hands off of certain things. Um, but people also have to realize that people with mental illnesses, people have triggers too. So rushing somebody to talk about something, or even joking about certain things, or even poking at certain things, can cause triggers.
Right. It's when you put that in perspective. Think about it. When you sit there and you gonna do this and you gonna do that. Hell, it don't work in regular situations. So how do you honestly believe that it's going to work in this type of situation? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how do you think it's gonna work? Like, oh, well, you gonna do this? No, the fuck I ain't. Sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've learned that
that's
too.
true.
I've learned that too because I used to deal with people, and I used to be okay. We gonna do this. I'm gonna drag you kicking and screaming.
It don't work
It
like
don't
that
work like that. You can drag this
at
person
all.
all you want. They're gonna sit here and be like, where you think we going?
Right. And then people who go through stuff like also need support, I feel. Because I know when I was going through therapy and stuff like that, my mom and my grandma told me I was wasting my money. Wasting my money and wasting my time.
I think that's totally the opposite. Totally the opposite.
Right. I was like, do y'all realize that I'm in here because of the shit y'all did throughout my child?
Right. You're right, because you have to sit here. I'm telling you, people don't understand. You have to deal with that in your head first before you can get any type of comfort anywhere. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
If,
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody says. I gotta deal with this before you can sit here and tell me that I'm going to do it this way. I'm sorry. It just doesn't
Right.
work that way.
Right. But yeah, it's hard, I think, in our black community because, like I said, my friend Trey used to always tell me if it ain't Jesus or Jen, they don't want to hear it.
Right.
So
That you right there, you put it right on the head with that one, boy. If it don't come into a bottle, I tell people all the time, oh, you done drunk that whole bottle. Look at you, you done drunk it all the way down. Now, do you see the answer at the bottom of it? No.
right,
No shit, because it's not going to be in the bottom.
right,
Look, I can understand that you are stressed out because I get stressed out now. You want to drink every now and again. But the
right,
difference between having that drink and going overboard, it could be a very thin fucking line.
right.
People say,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm going to have this drink and I'm going to be all right. Maybe. Because because you feel, okay, I had that drink. I'm still fucked up. Let me go get another one. You know what I mean? So now you done turned around, you done had 7, 8 drinks, you toe up from the flow up and wondering, what I'm gonna do now? You know what I mean? Life is still life. This hasn't changed. You know what I mean? And I don't know people.
I, I
Go ahead.
also I also feel like
Well, I'm
even
drink.
with
Well,
our youngest, our young,
hold on. I said all that while I'm drinking this glass of wine. Don't mind me, people.
I'm so silly, but you're drinking it responsibly.
Right, right.
That's the difference.
I'm
right?
drinking until I pass out.
So what? But I also think with our younger generation, that is why we have so many pill poppers and molly poppers and stuff like
Alcoholics.
that because these alcoholics, because these kids are dealing with so much that they don't know how to deal with it. Going to their parents aren't there to tell them, you need to talk to somebody. You need to do. They're not there to tell them that. So those are the things that they use, in order to cope. And it's sad.
Yep.
I see some of the most beautiful girls drunk all the time or high all the time. Some guys who, if you listen to them, they're the most intelligent guys you've ever talked to. They're smart, intellectual, but they've popped so many pills and done so many things, they can't put 2 to 2 together in their
Don't
head.
know no better. Don't know no better at all. You go.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's hard
It's a
to
lot
watch.
of times you sit here and watch people go through the motions.
Right.
And I feel that when you sit here and watch somebody go through the motions, sometimes, I would say a lot of the time, that's them crying out for help.
Correct.
You know what I mean? People cry out for help, and you don't even know they're crying out for help. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're sitting here like, oh, well, he'll be all right. Let him sober up. Okay. We'll let him sober up, but when he right back at it tomorrow, apparently we need to get on something because now it's not just a sober thing. Now you're self-medicating.
Right. I had a friend call me the other day about another friend, and she was saying how she just don't understand how at our age he could sit there and get drunk every day, every day. A weekend you talking about 3-4 hen balls down a night, and that's an okay thing.
Oh Jesus!
Right. Not working, no get up and go, no nothing, but that's all you want to do all day long. I mean, I just feel like by 40 years old, that should be out of you. Like, it should be a time where that's no longer your motive for the day.
You say that, Lady J, but let me tell you something. Let's be for real. How many 40 and older we see try to act 25, 30?
Unfortunately, a lot.
And like I said, you 45 years old, you a man 45 years old, you got your hat twisted to the side, your pants hanging down your ass, you know what I mean? You talking all crazy, and you know what I mean? And that's like, I always say that I don't understand it, because when you get to a certain age, you're supposed to be a teacher in the community.
Right.
You're supposed to be somebody that a younger person can come up and say, hey, I'm going through this, or hey, I got this going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
You should be able to step up into the forefront and say, okay, let me tell you this. I understand where you're coming from, brother. You know what I mean? But you don't get that nowadays a lot of times in the black community, because they out there trying to hang with you. They out there popping the pill right behind you, like, God damn.
Right. Right. I'm asking you, do you have one?
You got one?
Right.
You got one, nigga?
Right.
I know you got to ask her. And get mad at you, too. Get mad at you. Get mad at you. Oh, you only got one for you? Well, I guess, I'm sorry. You damn near 50. I thought you didn't do this no more.
Right. I don't know. I just feel like it has to be a time where we all have to be accountable for ourselves, but also accountable for each other. I was watching something earlier today, and they was talking about how, older people can't say stuff to younger people anymore with fear of them attacking them or saying anything.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm an older person. You lash out at me, you done jumped on the right one this time, buddy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm about all that.
It's sad because there's no respect.
It's none.
No respect.
It's none.
But I also feel like a lot of the older people haven't given much to respect.
Right. A lot of them haven't. A lot of them, like I said, a lot of them revert back to the young ways. You know what I mean? They haven't grown up. They still sitting there doing the same old shit they were doing back in their 20s and 30s. And it's sad. You're right. They don't have nothing to talk about, but you got you know what I mean? Because we've talked about this before, because you got grandmas that ain't even really grandmas yet. You're a grandma. You got, you
36.
Right. Look, grandma used to be grandma when she was 50, 60. You know what I mean? Now it's like, I'm grandma and I'm 30. I'm 35. Hell, think about it. We got grown kids.
Yep. And thank God they don't have no kids.
Thank God.
Right.
Thank God, because I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't ready to be no granddaddy.
I ain't ready
to be no granddaddy. Look, I'm just.
My thing is, I don't want to be a grandma and still raising other kids.
Oh my God.
I'm not ready.
Oh my God. Don't say it, ladies. I told you. Man, I got a cousin. She's pregnant now. And I was telling people, I was like, what would y'all do? And I asked my family, I said, what would you do if you were 40 about to have a kid? I told them I'd pass the fuck. What? Let somebody come up to me and say, Gavin, I'm pregnant. Oh my God. Ladies J, I don't care what. You can look at me any type of way you want to. Somebody come to me and say, I'm pregnant, and I'm in my 40s. What?
And listen, I told you, I was at the hospital today and seen the classmate, big and pregnant. I'm like, girl, about to be 42.
What are you doing?
Right. Like, you got a child that's 15, 16 years old. You really finna start over, sis? Really?
Hell no. I ain't got it in me. I ain't got it in me. Listen.
But yeah, I feel like we just have to be accountable also for each other. Start listening to each other. Start talking to each other about issues that can prevent some of these things. When it comes to our veterans, I feel like the government has to have a better plan. Because I know for a fact when my ex-husband got the military, it wasn't no goddamn plan. It was here your discharge papers, and here your orders to go back home, and the truck driver to deliver your stuff.
Right. All in that order.
That's it. Right.
That's
Pretty
like
much.
I said. My father did 20 years in the military. They had to retire because he retired, so he just didn't get out. He made a career out of it, and he was like. But see, like I said, it's different. I think it's different from branch to branch. You get what I'm saying? Because if you notice that it's more of people that are in the Marines and the Army and Special Forces that have these problems. You get what I'm saying? Because you got people men out in the Navy that, you're always on a damn boat, so you know what I mean? Or you got them.
And that's a mental illness itself.
Well, cabin fever is a motherfucker.
Man, listen, one of my friends is in the Navy, and she is always depressed. Always depressed. And I feel so bad for her. She was just like, I hate it here. I want to go home. And she's been in there for about 12 years. And
I tell you this, I don't understand it. But you know what? I can't get it because me personally, I know me, and every time we go ashore, I'm getting the hell off that boat. Every time.
Right.
You ain't, I get me a room somewhere, I'm getting the hell off this boat.
But sometimes they at sea. They could be at sea for
six, 7
months. 8 months.
Yeah, my dad used to do 7, 8 months. But you know what? Like I said, when they went ashore, what my dad did? He said, "I got the hell off that boat. I went to go see what was going on everywhere and all this other stuff. I couldn't stay on the boat." And he said that's how he survived all that time. Because a lot of times, like I said, cabin fevers that hell, even people that come out of the prison system.
Yeah.
They come out the prison system. You got guys that be locked up in solitary for 10, 15 years by themselves. It's like, how in the hell do you maintain yourself that long locked up like that? It honestly blows my mind.
And again, you can't. Mentally, you cannot. You cannot keep yourself mentally sane.
Especially with all that foolishness going around. You can look, I'm gonna tell you this. The human body was not meant to be the human psyche is not meant to be alone that long.
So you don't think that during this pandemic is going to breed a whole lot more mental illness?
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. People, but see, and you know what? Let me give my hand out to the internet community because they did a lot to make sure that everybody could have, see their loved ones. You see what I'm saying? Like when they did Zoom, they let Zoom be for free. You got all these other formats and platforms that you can see people on a daily basis and talk to them on a daily basis. And, they did what they could. But, at the end of the day, a lot of times it's just so far gone. You get what I'm saying? Especially the older folks. That's who I worry about, the older folks. You know what I mean? The ones, the grandmas that used to get in the car and go see their kids. You know what I mean? I'm going to go visit, blah, blah. Grandma can't visit because she don't want to, but grandma can't visit because she's older and she has to worry more than we do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was like I told you, I was supposed to go to Mississippi for Thanksgiving, and that was one of the reasons why we didn't go because of the pandemic.
Right.
But you cannot. People, let me tell you something. You cannot be locked in your house forever. You can't do it. Your mind won't let you do it. You'll start. That's when you start talking to Frank.
He's so silly.
You think Frank's sitting in the house with you? All right. Frank ain't actually sitting in that chair over there. You know what I mean? Frank's sitting in your head. Frank over telling you, yeah, you can go do that. Yeah. You silly as hell. You right with Frank.
Where you get the name Frank from?
I just thought Frank was a great name to have for somebody that's, you know what I mean? That's somebody to have that's crazy.
Oh, what was the name? What was the name of the coconut that Tom Hanks had on that movie?
Oh, I gotta look that up.
When he was on the island.
Hold on, let me look that up.
I'm looking it up too.
Oh man.
Let me
Let me see what you got.
It was the movie Castaway.
Wilson.
Wilson.
Because it was the volleyball's name, so he named it.
Right.
Name. I bet you people listening to us be like, "You didn't know what the damn name was." I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew it was something. A coconut, a ball, or something.
It was a volleyball. His name was Wilson.
Wilson couldn't drown. He couldn't do nothing
at all.
Wilson
was his best companion, and you saw when it was time for him when he built that boat, and got on that. Wilson was the first motherfucker that got on. Right there. Wilson like, we gonna do this. I can't paddle, but I'm gonna be here for your mental stability.
Hey. He had to build him a friend because he was going crazy.
Yeah. I made fire. Great movie.
I'm watching that movie tonight.
Great movie. But yeah, like I said, there's so many things that people can do nowadays. Let's put this in perspective. There's so many things people can do nowadays to comfort themselves that you couldn't do back then. Can you imagine going through this without the internet?
No.
I'm so glad that you told the truth, because I was gonna be. If you would have said yes, I would have said you's a motherfucking liar. I would have called you a liar so quick.
And what's crazy is with this whole thing is, even now, I suffer with severe anxiety, right? So I had to learn how to cope with certain things because, people think anxiety comes in only one form. People think anxiety comes with nervousness and all that kind of stuff. Well, my anxiety could start off like that, but it turns into rage. So I can start being real, agitated or, but then it turns out I want to flip a table or a bed or hawk something,
I'm that way too.
But 5 years ago, I learned how to deal with that.
I just let it out. I just make sure. I don't tear up my own shit.
Right, but I can't. That kind of stuff will scare your children, so I can't do that with my kids. So I learned how to do certain things, like go for a walk.
Right.
Like people think like going to the gym and exercising is just all physical. That's mental too. Going to the gym is a great stress reliever.
Yep. You know why I tell people? You know what I tell people? The gym can be, and you're talking to a gym rat. The gym is the most consistent thing. Can be most consistent thing in your life. You want to know why?
You don't change.
Don't change. 100 pounds is 100 pounds. That 50-pound weight is going to be that 50-pound weight. You get what I'm saying? It don't change unless you want it to change. And that's what I do a lot of preaching to the young kids that I see that are losing their mind outside of the club and everything. Everybody says, Gavin, why you always preach to these kids? Because a lot of times they just don't know. You know what I mean? A lot of times they want to, like, okay, I know you remember the one time when the dude was out there yelling and screaming and all that stuff, talking about, oh, what I'm going to do this and that. I was like, dude, I know why you're doing it. Because you're trying to keep him off your ass. So that's your defense mechanism. You know what I mean? And you yelling and screaming, talking about what you're going to do to people and all that stuff. Kids, young people, let me tell you something. We call it selling wolf tickets.
Yeah.
And one of these days, you're going to sell it to the right person, and they going to buy that bitch. And you know a bitch will buy it
You
quick.
wrote some shit you can't cash.
What? You be in there fighting for your life because let me tell you something. Yeah, us older folks, we think about, you know why we think about things more now? Because we have more to lose than these younger people.
Yeah.
We have kids, and they have kids too, but we got bills, real bills. You know what I mean? We got house notes. You know what I mean? Car notes. We have all this other
Our
stuff.
things are in a priority to us.
Right, right. So when you hear like when I hear these young folks talk about, oh, I'm ready to die, blah blah blah, and you remember I said to them, I said that, and I said it straight up. I said that is the craziest shit I have heard come out your mouth. I'm ready to die.
Yeah.
What?
But it's my thing. You ready to die? You smoke crack, don't you?
You smoke crack, don't you?
Jump. Jump. Go ahead, jump.
Yeah, I tell them all the time. I said, you gonna be, hey, they be like, man, you just don't know. I said, I know more than you think I know. Let me tell you something. I wasn't always on the straight and narrow like I am now. I was one of them guys that were out there slanging and banging. I didn't care. You know what I mean? I was that guy. But, you know, growing up, and like I said, I've had problems with my mental, like, I can't say that I've never had problems because I fell in depression. I've had, like you said, I've had friends die around me. Look, look at 2020.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this. Everybody that makes it, listen, everybody that's listening to this podcast today, or whenever you listen to it, if you make it out of 2020, you have done a lot.
Yep.
Because 2020 has changed people's lives. I've seen, we have had, and just in a month, we've had so many people get killed, die, just all types of stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's not even.
And it's not even
things
far
are
away.
doing.
It's close.
Yes, these are people that we're dealing with. These, and it's not old people either.
Nope.
We have kids out here dying.
Mm-hmm.
We got, and that was
kids
upset.
with kids.
Kids with kids. And then what gets me is that, you know, I tell people all the time, Lady J, is that, especially say if you commit suicide. I know that's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. I'll let you get into that because I know I cut you off before that. But I always tell people, I said, okay, killing yourself is a exit. It's a quick solution to, you know what I mean? It's a quick solution to your problem. But you don't understand, it may be a quick solution to you, but the people that you leave behind have to pick up your pieces. You get what I'm saying? They have to pick up everything that you left behind. So if you kill yourself, you got kids, you got people that have to pick up that. You know what I mean? Bills don't go away.
No.
You know, people have to pay off your debts. It's just so much. Then you got people have to pay for your funeral. And just, you know, it's just so much. I always think, I've always told people that suicide is a quick solution to an easy problem that can be fixed.
I feel when people are in a state where they've come to the position that is what they want to do, in their mind, they're not thinking
long term.
That this is just right. No, not even long term. They're thinking very long term. They're thinking
Right. You're right about that.
Right, I think very long term. I don't think they're thinking all for themselves. I think they're thinking because a lot of times
you don't think. So you telling me you don't think that is not a selfish thing?
In some instances, yes. But I think a lot of times when people come to the point that they want to kill themselves, or even when you've seen people kill their children, they're thinking in their mindset of
they're helping.
You
think they're helping? Like, I'm doing this to.
yeah, like I'm doing this because it would be better off if I'm not here. Like you would have a better life if I wasn't here. You would do better without me. Like I'm the cause of a problem, so I'm going to solve the problem for you, for me, and for everybody else.
Right.
I think that's how a lot of people who commit suicide think. I mean, even if you look at famous people who have committed suicide, like you look at like Robin Williams or the guy from Soul Train. These people were in a state where they felt that they were going to be burdens to other people. So they wanted to not cause burden, but to handle it themselves. So I don't think it's always a selfish thought.
I never, let me
I think it's a solution to anything, but
I never. I'm gonna say this real quick. I don't think it's a selfish thought either. What I do think, like I said, I'll say it again. I think it's a quick solution to it. You know what I mean? It's an easy fix to some people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think that, you know what I mean, I can be more glorified when I'm gone. The fuck?
I think idiots think like that.
Yeah, the fuck? What do you mean you be more glorified when you're gone?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's some of the stupidest shit that you hear, though. But the bad thing about it, though, Lady J, you hear it, and it's out there.
Right.
It's something that you cannot honestly just get rid of. I don't care what nobody says. You can't get rid of that. You can't. When you're gone, you can't come back, people. And they haven't made a magic pill for that yet. When you're gone, you're gone.
Right.
It's, and
That's
I've
true.
had people that have committed.
Very, very true.
I've had friends that committed suicide. You know what I mean? Because they were like, "Oh, I can't fix this." Hell, it's people. I've seen people kill themselves over bills, monetary things like, "Oh, I lost my house, so now I got to kill myself." No, bitch, you pick yourself up, get yourself back right again, and you know what I mean? You get another goddamn house.
But just like you said that, they need, again, us communicating, us being vocal. It has to be somebody within your life that says that. I can say this, when I was going through my biggest depression in my marriage, it was my son that said, "Mom, this ain't you.
Right.
What are you doing?"
Right.
People
know. People know. People know, Lady J. People know. Like I said, kids, like I said, when they're right, like kids can be some of the biggest help student-wise. Like you sitting there like, damn, my like I know you're sitting there like, damn, my son is right. And how old was he then? How old was he then?
12.
You see what I'm saying?
And what was so crazy, and what's crazy is it was more like, how you see this in me but I don't see it.
Right.
And he told me a lot of things that day, from you'll be better off by yourself, from you don't have to like stuff. I'm like, you 12, how you know this stuff? Stuff like that.
Kids know,
and
kids
that
know
conversation,
they know their parents. They know your demeanor. They know, like you said, with your youngest. He knows when he may not want to sit up there with you, but he knows when something's wrong with you.
Right.
They know when something. I don't care what nobody says. Kids know when something's wrong with their mom, dad, because they know, because they're like, this is not the person that showed me all that I know.
Right. Right. But I mean, that sparked my whole life transformation. That sparked me to lose weight. That sparked me it sparked a whole new life for me. Until this day, when I get to a point where I'm just like, fuck it, I give up. The same son is the one be like, I need you to crack that Bible open, Matthew 6. You was just in there listening to Kodak. What did you talk about?
Look, Kodak told him the right scripture, didn't he?
I was like, okay, so.
But
it just has to be. It has to be done.
And I'm gonna say this, Lady J. I'm gonna say this. You're lucky.
Yeah.
You're very lucky that
I'm blessed.
Yes, You very are, because you have, but that comes from you raising these kids the way that you have. You've raised them
Yep.
that they can honestly sit there and talk about this, because, like I said, a lot of people don't get raised like that. Because think about it.
Right.
In our generation, we weren't raised to be able to talk like that. It was something that
Nope.
Uncle Johnny crazy, but don't say nothing to him. Don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Because he'll flip
Yep.
out on you. Now,
Back in the day, they even did that with pedophiles.
yep.
Y'all know Uncle Johnny touched on little girls and nobody said anything.
Right. And to them, it was just don't leave Uncle Johnny with the kids.
With the kids, right?
And he'd be the best one at the barbecue, too. Be one cooking the food and everything. Let me stop.
Don't you leave? Don't go. Who in the house? Who in the house with Johnny and them kids? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't you leave Johnny. And then come back. I told you don't leave him with Uncle Johnny. He over there touching. I'm for real. You know what I mean? Mental illness comes from so many places. It comes from being sexually abused, mentally abused.
Yep.
Any type of line of abuse can bring on a sexual. You ever seen a show called, I used to love to watch, it was on HBO. I was at Cinemax. It was one of them too. It was called The State of Terror. Great show. I'll put it on the. I'll put it in here. It was called The State of Terror, and Tara had a multiple personality situation. She had like 6 personalities, and it was so funny that like each personality knew how to handle a situation that she couldn't handle. So the personality would come out pop right there. She had a man, child. She had the one that was like, because I guess she was physically abused when she was younger. No, either that or raped or something like that. And all those personalities came out when they needed to come out, when she couldn't handle it. But the thing about it was she had a full family, and they knew how to handle it. They knew when the personality came out, they were like, okay, now we got to go do this. Or now we got to do that. It was funny because she had one. Now listen,
Which mama am I talking to today?
But it was funny because she was one part. She had a personality that always tried to sleep with her husband. Yeah, you gotta watch
she would
it.
get mad.
Yeah, so she would get mad. So one time she got mad at the husband because I can't believe you slept with such and such. He was like, but it was still you. He said,
You right.
He was like, but you have so much more fun with her because she's so outgoing and she's everything that I'm not. But he said it was still you. He said it'd be different if I was out there sleeping with somebody else. But he had a point. He had a valid point. Look, yeah, it's still you though. But you get a chance, watch that. I guarantee you're gonna be like, what the hell? And you're gonna fall into it. It's a couple seasons to it. Very good movie. But like I tell you this, I ain't gonna lie to you, I totally agree with therapy. You know what I mean? Coming from a person, I don't like to share a lot. Me personally, everybody knows that. Gavin, I am the epitome of a macho man.
Oh yeah.
I've learned to deal with problems by myself. I'm gonna tell you, people, I am one of them people that I can hang out by myself for real. Remember you asked me that one time, how do you do it? And I told you, like, when I was growing up, I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and for my brother, I'm 6 years apart from him, and my brother and sister like 2 years apart from each other, so they hung out a lot, because they went to school together and all that stuff. They hung out a lot. And I was really basically that one kid that I could sit in the room, play video games, blah, blah, blah. But it's so funny because I'm still very sociable. But at the same time, I can sit by my goddamn self and not be mad about anything.
Right.
And trust me, people ask me that all the time. How do you sit and just don't worry? I said, it's just what I do. Like,
I don't think I have a problem with sitting by myself, because like me, I can be in my little space and I got a whole household full of people, and to be in my room and don't hear shit going outside my door, Um,
They be in there trying to kill each other in that bit.
I don't even know, you know, but I've come to try to be and learn how to do things or activities by myself because I have, restricted myself of doing things because I don't have anybody to do it with. And I said, one day I was like, what, I'm not going to do that no more. If I want to drive to Orlando, go shopping, I'm going to go. If I'm going, go out to dinner, I want something to eat, and go by myself. If I want to go to the Davenport, I'm going to go by myself. I don't got to wait for nobody to go with me. So I'm learning to do that, to enjoy myself. And I think that just comes with, like you always say, you love you too much. I think that's what that is when you come to a place where you love you're great company for yourself.
Fantastic company for yourself. I
And I
love it.
think that's a great part of overcoming mental illness is self-love, because a lot of people who have mental illness don't have that
Right.
at all.
Right.
So yeah, I think people just again have to start being more communicative, speaking, talking, not scared to tell your friend or your brother or your cousin, whoever, hey bro, I think you need to get some help. You want me to go with you? I'll take you, I'll go with you, not making them feel so obsolete or lonely because they're dealing with something that maybe you might not be.
And a lot of people can't deal with, like I said, people cannot deal with certain things sometimes by themselves. I don't care what nobody
Right.
says. You know what? Sometimes you are not as strong as you think you may be. And those are facts. I had to learn that myself. I had to learn that, you know what? I'm not as strong as I, portray to everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody sits there and be, oh, Gavin, he can handle anything. But sometimes Gavin, I'm not gonna lie, I do get lonely sometimes, and you know what I mean. I have to sit back and be like, you know what? Okay, Gavin, breathe in and out. You'll be all right. You'll get through it. You know what I mean?
Sound like me.
And I do. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I do. I work things out. I get things the way that I need them to get. And you know what I mean? I've been, like I said, sometimes it's good to be the way that I am, because I tell you, I have demons just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a epitome of a macho man. I don't like to show weakness, and nothing that I do in life, I will probably never show a weak moment in my life. That's just how I am. Not saying that it's a great, you know what I mean? But, just to keep moving forward in life, like I said, I believe in the medication. I believe in the therapy. I believe in talking with somebody. I believe in all that. And if it helps you to get past what you have to get past, I totally agree. Go fucking do it, people. Go do it. Because the other options that you are thinking of, the cutting, the hurting yourself, the killing yourself, the self-medication, those are long-term situations to a temporary problem. There it is.
Right.
Those are long, it's a permanent thing when you hurt yourself. It's permanent. Everybody's like, man, I cut myself to relieve the pain. I don't know how you do that when, hell, it hurt me to cut myself. Is that
Yeah,
not?
I have somebody close to me who does that. And, I look at her all the time and I'm like, you're so pretty. But then I look at her legs and her arms, they toe up. And I'm just like,
And you wonder why they always.
I don't want to know how that feels.
You ever notice?
But I'm sympathetic to it.
You wonder why they're always wearing long pants and they're always wearing long shirts and all this stuff. They're wearing it because they have no choice but to wear it, because they have mutilated themselves.
Right.
Beautiful girls. Sometimes you wonder how does a beautiful person have mental illness or problems like that? Like, does it not, like, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever sat back?
Beauty doesn't solve everything.
I totally agree, but you like, how is this? Like, how does somebody this beautiful can be lonely?
Easy.
Well, go ahead and speak on it then, Lady J.
First of all, most beautiful people don't. People who are truly beautiful inside and out don't see themselves as being beautiful.
Right.
I've had a guy tell me one time that he said, you know what he said, even though you're a very pretty girl, he's like, do you know what makes you even more beautiful? And I'm like, what? He said, the fact that you don't know it.
I can dig it.
He said the fact that you're so beautiful and you're so pretty that you don't think your shit don't stink because you're pretty. You don't think you can do whatever and treat people any kind of way because you're pretty.
You're right about that, because I tell you this, boy, some of the nastiest people can be some of the most beautiful people in the world.
Right, because they have entitlement issues.
Oh, we spoke about that
before. So being in a situation where everybody else sees you as beautiful, but when you look in the mirror, that's not. I dealt with that for years. I just came to the point I could look at myself and say, damn, girl, you got fine, girl.
Oh, Lord.
Before, I never saw that.
Listen to you, Lady J. I knew it was coming, goddammit. I knew it was coming.
But yeah, I never thought it that way. And then I had people around me who would, because just because you look at them and think that they're beautiful, they might be with somebody around somebody that tell them that they're ugly every day.
I've seen that. I've seen it because of the
beauty
business.
Is in the eye of the beholder.
I've seen it because of the business I'm in.
Mm-hmm. So that don't solve nothing.
Well, Lady J, I think that we did it. We did it, Lady J.
Yeah,
and you know what? And I didn't even make them many jokes.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
But let me tell you a quick story.
Oh Lord, I knew it was too good to be true.
So, I was messing with this one chick one time, right? Crazy than cat shit. I mean, crazy. Now, we and her were messing around for a long time and, going back and forth, you know what I mean? Two people that's supposed to be in love. I was more in lust than love. I'm going to tell you straight up. So one day, remember I told you, like, I've sat in there and watched somebody turn right in front of my eyes? Mm-hmm. What I was talking about is a girl I used to deal with. So I was dealing with her, and she turned right in front of my fucking eyes. I'm sitting there, and I can't remember. I didn't say anything crazy, but what she started doing is that we was sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? This is back in early 2000s. So we was sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting there like, I don't think I made a joke or something, but she got so mad at me. And I was like, she says, you know that I'm already going through some things. I said, yeah, but I'm trying to lighten the mood. And then she says to me, and I shit you not, she says to me, we are not going to take this. I said, what? So when she said it, right, I turned around
Lord have
and
mercy.
looked around the house because I was like, where the fuck is we? You know what I mean? Like, who is we? That's what I said in my head, like, who is we? Right? So I was like, oh, Lord, what the hell am I getting myself into? So she starts talking. And she's talking, and then her voice just starts to change on me. Like, she had a very light voice. And I mean, it started, I'm like, and now mind you, I'm sitting on the couch next to this woman. Right? And she's sitting here like, she just starts to change on me, Lady J. And I'm like, oh, Lord, what have I done? And then, like, her face just, I wish they could see me. Her face and her eyes and all that stuff just kind of sunk into her head, and she was talking, and I was sitting there like, oh my God, who the hell is this? Right? So right. So she goes to talking, and she goes to, I mean, like, you ever seen them scary movies when them people lift up? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they possess.
Yeah, did it right in front of me. boy, let me tell you something. I ain't never told some pussy up like that before in my life.
You know what? Good night. Good
Boy,
night.
tore her ass up.
Good night.
Oh,
Good night.
oh, you thought I got up out of there? No, buddy.
Good night. Good night. I'm done. Hold on. Now, you know what? With this story, you have solidified yourself. You
Don't you say it.
and Chef
Don't you say it.
crazy.
I had to. She started talking to me and telling me things she wanted to do. And in my mind, I had to let her try it. Then she talked about she wanted.
Was it worth it?
Hell no, because I left her after that. But I had to get it one time. And then Lady J, listen, Lady J, this is the funny part. So after it was all over, right? After it was all over, she came back to normal. After she came, she was back to normal. I said, girl, I knocked that evil out of you.
Nah, I doubt that had
At
anything
all.
to do with you. So
At all.
trust me.
At all. But
I know you probably want to think so, but yeah, no.
I dropped the bottom out that mouth.
Boy, bye.
Well, I was in my youth too. Lady J, I was in my youth. What?
Boy, bye.
All right, people. That's enough for story time. All right. I can't stop laughing now.
Around here, you over there taking in her demons.
Thinking of her demons. I cannot remember what she called that. What was it? It was a her too. What was her name? I can't remember. I'll remember one of these days.
Other crazy bitch.
Crazy bitch. But anyway.
Yes, the other crazy bitch.
Once again, this is Late Night at the Table. I am one of your hosts, Gavin the Boss Man Stevenson. I have the lovely Lady J with us right now. And we are getting off this thing. I want to say thank you guys for listening. We love all of you. We love the comments. If you are listening right now, we want you to go and join our group. It is Late Night at the Table. Just type it in on Facebook. Boom, you're there. Anything else, Lady J?
No, I think you about covered it from all angles, sir.
Well, go ahead and say bye to the people, Lady J.
Goodbye, everybody.